Hello, class! And today we're going to be we're doing 2.5, solving compound inequalities.
All right, thank you.
I thought Noah's name was David.
All right, so a compound inequality. Okay, you got a spot on your notes right at the top. Compound inequality is basically when you take two inequalities and connect them with a word. So you put a word between two inequalities. Right? The choices for the words you can use are and the other word you could use is or.
So guys, for compound inequality, the space is kind of small. You might want to stack it on top of each other, right? Compound, then inequality underneath it, so you can fit it all on that line. You can squeeze it in great. If you want to stack it on top of each other, you can too.
Okay, so compound inequality is when you take two separate inequalities and connect them with the word and or the word or. So an example would be, let's say I said to you, to get the student discount, you had to be older than 14 and younger than 18. So you had to be between 14 and 18. So your age is greater than 14 and your age is less than 18. That's an example of a conjunction. There's two inequalities. Well, we'll do an example with or in a little bit. The key is when we're shading, okay, with the word and, you're shading where things overlap. Okay, you're looking for where things overlap. So if we were thinking of my example with ages, right? Let's do it. If I said you are older than you had to be older than 14, what inequality symbol does that mean? Greater than, right? So older than 14 would mean we shade this way. Now, what else did I say? You had to be younger than
18.
You have to be younger than 18. So that's less than. So there's 18. Shade left. Now there's a spot where they overlap. Okay, right here. When we're graphing, that's what you would graph. That's all you would graph is what's in that box. Okay, so we would just end up shading like this. The two circles, shade between them. You don't have to draw anything else. Okay, so that's what you're thinking of. Okay, and is where they overlap. Here's another example. So x is greater than or equal to 2. You can tell me how to graph that.
Yep. This is the first one.
Would you have a closed circle on 2?
Closed circle on 2.
And it, like having shading up to the positive 5.
Let's pretend we don't even know that one exists yet.
Okay.
So let's just pretend you wanted to graph that. How would you do that one?
You'd like shade it to the right.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to put a little arrow indicating which way we would shade.
I read my mind, Mr. Hager.
I know I did. And now keep that in mind. That's the way you would shade. What kind of circle would you put on the 5?
Open.
An open. And which way would you shade there? To the left. So where these would overlap is between the two circles. The solid circle would go to the right forever. The open circle would go to the left. And this is the overlap right there. That's how you graph a conjunction.
So guys, for these, you're going to follow the same exact rules as far as how we're graphing them, right? Still, open circle, closed circle, look for where the arrow is pointing, go in that direction, all that stuff works. The only thing with these ands is usually when doing these, for the ones that we're going to do, all right, usually when you have an and, it's just going to be a connect the dots. All right, just make sure you put the right type of circle depending on what kind of sign you have, and then just connect the dots. So usually when we're doing these, the ands, it's going to be a connect. All you're going to do is be connecting the two dots that you have. In most cases, I don't think we'll have very few that go in the same direction. They'll almost always be connected dots.
So what's different about this graph? Okay, so look at that one that we have right there, and then look at, say, this one right here. What's the difference between that one and that one? Yeah?
There's no conjunction.
Okay, there's no conjunction, so how does it look different? What's the big difference, Savannah?
One is like going into each other.
What does this one have that I circled in red that this one doesn't?
No negative numbers.
Okay, no negatives. What else besides the numbers?
There's only one.
Look at the shading itself.
I was gonna say there's no arrow.
There's no arrow, right? When we shade it on this one, there's an arrow indicating it goes on forever in one
All those
direction.
numbers will work.
With a conjunction, there's usually a stopping point. There's no arrow to say keep going forever. It stops.
So the stopping point would be the two circles.
The stopping point is the two circles. So in this case, you can include the two.
Yeah.
Don't include the five.
Because we shaded in the two, right? That means the two is going to be included, right? So what this means, guys, is any number 2, 3, and 4 would work as possible solutions. Now, for an and, all right, your solution has to work for both inequalities. It has to work for both. Can't work for not one and not the other. So if I plugged in 2, right? If I plugged in 2, 2 is greater than or equal to 2, that works. 2 is less than 5, that works. So for an and, the solution that you get has to work for both inequalities, both of them. Not just for one or the other, it has to work for both. That's why it's that certain set of numbers.
And another way you can think of an and is like how many people have an account on anything where they have to log in? Right? When you log in, what 2 things do you have to type?
Username and password.
And which one of them has to be correct for it to work?
Password.
Both.
Just the password?
No, both.
Both, right? That's an and. Okay, so when you log in, the username has to be correct and your password. Both have to work. That's exactly what Mr. Roy just said. The number, both have to work. Okay, for an or, that's a little different. Okay, an or, you just shade everything that the directions tell you to shade. You don't look for where things overlap. You basically just graph the first one, graph the second one, and that's it.
So even for those guys, if they go in opposite directions, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, ors generally go in opposite directions. They don't always have to, but a lot of times they do. All right, so let's start with 3. What kind of circle on 3? Sophia?
Open.
Open. And which way would you shade?
To the left.
To the left. So we can pick a number that is less than 3, which includes everything this way. Or, what else can we pick? Yep.
Closed circle. Like closed circle and to the right.
Closed circle, where?
To the right.
On 6.
On the 6.
Honestly, yeah.
Yep. And then shade right. So with an or, it can be one or the other or both. As long as you pick a number that fits in at least one of these. Let's pick 9. Is 9 less than 3? No, 9 isn't less than 3, so it didn't work there. But is 9 greater than or equal to 6? Yeah, 9 is a bigger number than 6, so it worked in one of them. That's all you need.
So guys, what's the difference between an and problem and an or problem?
Or is both ways.
Say that again, no?
Or is both ways.
Or is okay, it might go in opposite direction. What about in terms of the solutions? Sophia?
You can have either one or the other in or, but you
Yeah,
can't
for
have
or,
both in and.
the solution that whatever you pick has to work for one only. Right?
Or
one
both.
or the other.
One or the other, or
both.
Yep.
Now what about an and?
Yeah, you have to, in and you have to have both.
Yeah, the number you pick has to, it's gonna be in that area, right, that shaded where you connected the dots, and it's gotta work for both inequalities. Okay? Now, how about shading an and? How do we shade an and? Usually.
It's only the negative.
Huh?
It's only between the two.
Yeah, connect the dots, right? Connor, what about shading for an or?
Open.
Yeah, open or close, but what about in terms like, are you shading only a certain area or
Yeah.
everything?
Everything.
Shade everything, or shade everything. I was with Hager, when we really did this stuff like really in depth, we would say for or, alright, you're greedy. You wanna shade everything. For an and, you're snobby. You only wanna shade that certain area. So ors are greedy, shade everything, ands you're snobby, only a certain area.
Alright, so when you have a statement written, let me just show you. I want to show you an or, like that one. Okay, that's an or, we'll solve it later on. But that's pretty much the only way I could ask you the problem on the test. Okay? There's no other way for me to write that question if that's what I want you to do. This one, there is. Whenever there's an and, there's a different way I could write this question. A shorter way. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. Right? So I have two inequalities. X is greater than -1 and x is less than 4. We can take those two separate inequalities and shorten them. Okay, we can write it as 1. And I'm going to show you the steps on how you do it. Okay. In order to shorten this up and make it just a single inequality all combined together, start by putting the variable in the middle. X. The next thing, put the smaller number on the left, put the bigger number on the right. Okay, so look at your two numbers. Out of the two numbers I just circled, which one is the smaller number? Will?
-1.
-1. Which one is the bigger number? 4. Put the smaller number on the left. Put the bigger number on the right. Do that.
You must write this down.
I would. Yeah. Because you might see some questions.
Has the space to write it in.
Yeah, you might see some questions on the test where I write things this way. And if we do it this way, both inequality symbols should point left. You have to put one here, and you have to put one here. They both have to point to the left. Okay. Look at the inequality symbol with the -1. Does it have a line under it? No. Then when I copy it down here, the inequality symbol I put to the -1 shouldn't have a line under it. It does have to point left, but there's no line under it. Look at the inequality symbol with the 4. Does that have a line under it? Nope. So when I write it here, no line under it. That's how you write it. And if you look at it closely, you can kind of see your two inequalities hidden in this. There's one of them. -1 is less than x. That's exactly what we have right here. -1 is less than x. And your other one is right there, in that box. X is less than 4. X is less than 4. All right? So it kind of takes those two inequalities, combines them into one. So any questions on those steps? X in the middle, smaller number on the left, bigger number on the right. Both signs point left. Should it have a line under it? Well, go back to the original problem. If this one was like this, then the inequality with the -1, I would have done like that. Right? There is another way you can do it. Okay, you can reverse what I tell you in steps 2 and 3. I'm not going to get into that, but you can put the bigger number on the left and the smaller number on the right, but then what do you think you'd have to do with these two things? If you switched where the bigger and smaller number go? Yeah? You would have to flip them, all right? But again, for what we're doing, I'm going to avoid having to do that, right? So we'll always do it this way. Okay, but I just want you to know this isn't the only way. Okay, everyone have the 3 steps? All right, let's try it. So it says write each sentence as an inequality. Can somebody tell me what the first, just read the first part of that inequality. You don't have to read the second one. Let's stop at the first one just to make sure we know where it ends. Yep.
A number x is greater than -8.
All right. So that's the end of the first one. A number x is greater than -8. Do you think you can tell me how to write that?
We've got x, a greater than symbol, and the -8.
Perfect. X is greater than -8. And it says less than or equal to 4. Well, what's less than or equal to 4? What are they talking about? X. They don't have to say it twice. You know, it's kind of like if I said, Sarah went to the store. She picked up milk. I can say she. I don't have to keep saying Sarah went to the store. Sarah picked up milk. Sarah got in her car. Sarah drove home. You know? So you don't have to say X is greater than -8 and X is greater than or equal to something else. They're still talking about X in the second part of that sentence. Does anyone think they can give me the second part? X?
Less than or equal to 4.
What? What's less than or equal to 4? X is less than or equal to 4.
Also, it's 2 separate orders.
It's 2 separate parts. You have an X in each part. Now, is that the kind of problem that could be shortened into 1? Yeah. Can somebody tell me how to shorten that up? What's the first step? What do we start with? I want to take those 2 inequalities and combine them into 1. Joe?
Would we compare like term? No.
So it's three steps.
That's a
Madison?
variable in the middle.
Put the variable in the middle. Step 1. Okay? What's step 2? After you put the variable in the middle. Gemini?
You put the smaller number on the left and the bigger number on the right.
Smaller number on the left, bigger number on the right. Last step. Which way should my inequality signs point? Yep. They should both point left. Let's look at the one with the -8.
So that was good.
Is there a line under it?
No.
No? Let's look at the one with the 4. Is there a line under it?
Yeah.
Yep, then we need to put the line under it. Both of these answers are correct. That's one way. That's a second way. If it didn't say on the test which way to do it, we would accept either way. Okay? Either answer is correct. But if it was like a multiple choice question and it was matching, and let's say you got the first way, maybe Mr. Roy and I would write it the second way. Okay, so you just have to know they're the same. All right, I need to number my number line. Let's just go by 2s. Okay, what kind of circle do I need on -8? Joe?
Open.
Open. Okay, while we're at it, what kind of circle do we need on 4?
Oh.
Go ahead, Joe.
Close.
Closed. And now, is this problem an and, or is it an or?
And.
It's an and. Where do we usually shade for and?
In between.
In between. So you shade in between. One thing that's a little tricky about writing it this way is the word and is gone. It's hidden. Okay? When you write things like this, you just have to know that and is there, but it's hidden. It's kind of like, what number is always in front of x even if we don't write it? 1. It's hidden. You just have to know that. Okay? Same thing there. Okay, the word and is hidden. Okay. Any question on that one? All right, let's try this one. It says a number y is at most 0 or at least 2. So Connor, what kind of problem do you think this is going to be? Is this an and or is this an or?
It's an or.
Yeah, it's an or because
It says or.
it says or, right? So before we even start, which way are we going to be shading in this problem? Between or opposite directions? Right. When we're done, we should have something that looks like that, shading in opposite directions. Okay. Y is at most 0. Okay, think about that for a second. Y is at most 0. What does that mean? It's like if I said to you, I'm only going to give you, at most, I'll give you $10. At most, I'll give you $10. So what does that mean? Sophia?
Less than or equal to.
Right, it's less than or equal to. At most means, look, this is the upper limit. At most, I'm going to give you $10. I'm not giving you more than that. Or at most, you have 20 minutes to take the test. That means at most or less. Less than or equal to. So y is less than or equal to 0. Or, what does it mean if I said at least? Like if I said to you, you have to be at least 15 years old to
Ride the roller coaster.
yeah, ride the roller coaster. If you have to be at least 15, what symbol would that be? Yep.
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to. So at least 2 means greater than or equal to 2.
So these are going to be on the test?
Yep.
Is it just these?
And what we did yesterday and what we're going to do tomorrow. What we're doing all week.
Wow, per usual.
Every test.
So
We usually say the same thing.
is this the kind of inequality you can shorten?
No.
No, why not? What word is there that tells you you can't shorten it?
Or
There is no way to shorten an or. Okay? You can shorten an and, but you can't shorten an or. And now, yep, they want us to graph it. Okay, so number your number line. How about page? What kind of circle on 0?
these sauces.
Closed. How about Nathan? What kind of circle on 2? Closed again. I like it. And now, where would we shade for an or? Joe? Out. Opposite directions. So shade to the left. Shade to the right. Is there any overlap there?
No.
Can you think of a number in your head that's bigger? Well, yeah, that would fit both of those at the same time?
Yeah.
Can you think of a number that's less than 0 and bigger than 2 at the same time?
No.
No. That's why these don't overlap. There's no overlap here. Okay, so or opposite directions. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, why don't you guys take a minute? Don't do the graph yet unless you finish, but see if you can solve the one on the left, which is basically a 1-step. See if you can solve the one on the right, which is a 2-step.
Quadrant.
Write your 2 answers, and what word should you put between them when you're done? You've got to put and.
And or.
And in this case, it's and. Okay, don't forget the word and. That's half the problem. That tells you all about the shading. Okay, so give that a shot and see what you can do.
Alright, so, well, for the first one, on the left-hand side, What do I want to get by itself?
You want to get X by itself.
X by itself. Alright?
I knew that.
Now, Mr. Hager said, before we started, that this is going to be a one-step. Why is it going to be a one-step? Someone tell me by raising their hand. Why is this inequality going to be a one-step? Joe?
All you have to do is get the x by itself.
Okay.
Wow.
How come there's no second step? How come there's no...
Because all you have to do is get that.
Okay. Savannah, what do you think? What were you going to say?
You think there's like no stable number?
Yeah, there's no... Over here, right? We have a number with x, right? We have 3. Over here, we don't. So when we get to that next part, there's nothing to divide the x by because it's already by itself. There's no number attached. That's why it's only one step. Alright? So we want to get this by itself. It's already on the left-hand side, which is great. Alright? So, Ginny, what am I going to do to get that x by itself on the left-hand side?
Subtract 6.
Now subtract 6. Over here, right, there's your bubble, right? What's outside your bubble? 5, right? What do I do with the 5? Subtract 5. Good. Minus 5. Where else are we going to minus 5 from, Ginny? From the 6. Good. Minus 5. Good. Cancels out, right? I didn't use my x. So what do I do? I didn't do anything with it. So what do I do?
Bring it down.
Let's bring it down. What about my sign?
Bring that down.
Bring that down too. Now, -6, -5. I have the same sign, but I'm not multiplying and I'm not dividing. What do I get? Someone tell me by raising their hand. Madison?
-11.
-11. Madison, what's the rule again when we're combining numbers that have the same sign? You remember?
Yeah, the sign the same.
Exactly. Keep the sign the same and just add the numbers together. Again, this is why we do it. You guys are like, like we did yesterday, the basic arithmetic. That's why we do it, because people still make mistakes with this. So people still need practice. That's why we do it on Mondays. So there's one right there. Alright? What is Z? What does this say?
X is greater than
Excellent. Now, this one over here. 3x plus 5 less than 20. Someone tell me, just by looking at it, raise your hand. How many steps? Joe?
2.
Why?
Because you have to get the x by itself.
Get the x by itself, then what? Right. So first off, we gotta isolate it, right? That means I know this is the thing I want to get by itself, so I circle it. Whatever's on that side with it, outside the bubble, is what I want to move. Fred, go ahead. -5. Where else? I want a -5 from 5. And where else, Fred? From the 20. Excellent. Now, I didn't use the 3x, right? So what do? I didn't use the 3x. So what do? Fred? Let's bring it down. I say this because people forget to do this. I see it on tests. That's why I'm just repeating it, so hopefully it sticks. 3x. What happens to the +5 and the -5? Fred? This cancels out. And Fred, do 20 minus 5 for me. 15. And then I just leave my sign the way it is. What would be the only situation, Joe, you okay back then?
Yes, I am.
You need to tell me something?
No.
If you're telling such a great story, I want to be in on it.
No.
Okay, man. Just making sure. So I'll start calling you Joe from...
Kokomo?
Yeah, I know you don't like it.
Jojo, Coco Bell.
Jojo
Kokomo.
from State I don't care.
Alright, so someone tell me, what's the only situation when I'm doing inequalities when I switch the sign? Anybody know? What's the only situation when I'm going to flip the sign? Savannah?
Multiply or divided by negative.
Dynamite. Am I going to multiply or divide by a negative here? Noah, am I going to multiply or divide by a negative here?
No.
What number am I going to divide by?
3x.
Not this 3, we'll need the x. Alright, just 3. No, what am I left with? Here's my sign. What am I left with on this left-hand side?
X.
Just x, right? How about the other side? 5, good. Alright, now I can bring this down if I want and like make it nice. Let me do that. And all I did, guys, was took this and wrote it down, and so he's going to put a box around it so we can see it. If you can see it like this and do it, that's fine. I just rewrote it so you guys can see it. All right? Sydney.
Yeah.
I want to graph this. All right? How do I do it?
You were going to, so for the first one you put it on -11.
Open or close?
Open.
How do you know it's open?
Because there's no line.
No line, right? Open at 11. Which way should my arrow go?
Straight.
To the right. So all I'm gonna do is just throw a little arrow above, just to make sure that because it's an and, right? What kind of a situation should I have here? What should happen with the dots? Savannah?
Detroit, Rock City.
Huh? Yeah, just connect the dots, right? All right. Now go back to Savannah. Savannah, what about this? How do I graph that?
I'm Sydney.
Huh? Oh, Sydney. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. All right, Sydney. How do I do this one?
You put it on 5.
Open or closed? No line underneath, right? Good. So I'm going to open at 5. Which way should my arrow point?
Left.
Left. Connor, what am I going to do? Look where the arrows are pointing. What do I do? Draw a line, connect the two dots, right? Mr. Hager's going to do it for me. I didn't have to. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Someone tell me, raise it here. What does that mean? Sophia?
It is either greater than -11 or less than 5.
So would any number in that range work? Any number in that range would work, right? It would make the statement true. Would -11 work?
Yeah.
How many people say yes, -11 would work?
Put your hands up.
How many people say no, it would not work? The people that said no are correct. What would need to be if that to be true? Madison, you said that it wouldn't work. Yes, we would need the equal to underneath. Same thing for 5 to be part of it. If it's bubbled in, that means the number is part of it. If it's not, you can't include that number. -11 is not greater than -11. 5 is not greater than, 5 is not less than 5. That's why those numbers don't work. Only if it has a little equal to underneath is when those numbers will work for your solution. Alright? But the most important thing you guys understand with this is, if it's an and, connect the dots. Alright? If it's an or, it doesn't matter. They can go in opposite directions. Graph everything. And you only want the overlap. X, what did I just say?
You don't want this number overlapping everything.
And I only want to graph the overlap. Please pay attention. Thank you. It's not my fault that Michigan lost to Penn State last Saturday night.
Don't want to hear that.
Alright, now, look what Mr. Hager did. He wrote up here, what is this? And or? So let's do a quick poll. Alright, there's the word and the word or is not in the problem. How many people say it's going to be a and problem? How many people say it's going to be an and? How many people out there say it's going to be an and? How many people out there say it's going to be an or? The ands are correct. Alright? You said or, Joe. I saw you.
No, I didn't.
Remember, listen very, very carefully. Listen carefully, stop talking and listen. If you have 2 inequality signs, like we do in this problem, and the word and is not written there, it's an and every single time. You have to know that it's an and. If it has 2 inequality signs, and the word and or is not written there, you have to know that it's an and. Alright? Here you still want to get alone. Yeah, so you still want to get X alone. So there's two ways you can do this. Alright? There's 2 ways you can do it. Remember, I know this is an inequality, right? But when we're solving an equation, right? If we do something on one side, what do we have to do? Same thing on the other, right?
Yeah.
Now here, we have 2 signs. We have this one and this one. So we got to make sure, whatever we do, let's say, in the middle, we got to do on the outside as well. I know that might have just blown your mind, but when I show you, it'll make sense. So, in this problem, right, what do we want to get? Someone raise your hand and tell me. What do we want to get by itself? Savannah? The x, right? So what number is attached to x? 2x. So this is the thing, so you just brought it down for me? Okay. So, this is what I want to get by itself, right there.
Yeah.
So, does someone think they can tell me by raising their hand what they think our first step will be? Joe?
So, why don't you add 1 to each side? Or
I don't want to add, I like when you talk.
Subtract 1.
Subtract 1 is a positive, right? Good. Minus 1. But look what Mr. Hager wrote. Here, what you do to the middle, you must do on the left and on the right. So, Connor, what should I do over here? Minus 1. Mackenzie, what should I do over here? Minus 1. Whenever I do in the middle, I gotta do to both sides. Alright? That's gonna keep it balanced. I gotta do it 3 times now. This is just gonna cancel up. What am I left with in the middle? Someone tell me by raising their hand. What's left in the middle? Just the 2x, right? And if I want to, I think I know what x is getting at. Just bring the signs down. They're not gonna change. Just bring them down. -3.
I can't see the numbers.
Z. -3, -1. I got the same sign I'm combining.
-4.
Nice job. -4. On the other side, I get a 9 and I got a 1. So Nathan, what do I get? 9 minus 1.
You get an 8.
8. Good man. Alright, now. So remember what I did before, right? I had something in the middle. I had to do it on both sides. Mallory, go ahead.
We would divide by 2 on both.
We're going to divide by 2, right? Because we want to get x by itself. So I'll divide by 2 here. And like Mallory just told us, divide by 2 out here. Divide by 2 out here. Flip the sign.
No.
Flip the sign.
Yes.
No.
Flip the sign.
No.
Why?
Because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not doing a negative, right? -4, +2, what do I get? -2, very good. In the middle, what am I left with?
X.
X, which is what I want.
Yes.
Keep the sign, and then 4.
4.
Here it is. Now, what do we say? When it's an and, what do we want to make sure that the signs are doing? Someone tell me by raising their hand on this one. Joe?
Are they like facing the same way?
Both pointing what way?
To the
No. Savannah? Left. Are they both pointing to the left?
No.
They're not?
Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, they are. Left and left, right? Cool.
Right.
And again, what kind of a problem is this? An and, right? Remember, if there's the word isn't written, you have to know that it's an and.
Yeah.
So when we graph an and almost 99% of the time we're doing these, what's going to happen?
You have to write down.
Huh? Mr. Hager and I know that we've shown you this. We know that it's an and. If you want to write it as an and, you can. But it just adds a step. You don't have to. As soon as you see it like this, when you graph it, what's going to happen? What's the graph going to look like? You don't have to tell me specifically, but what's it going to look like? Joe? Connect the dots, right? You're going back to when you were a little kid, your parents used to get you those books. You have to like connect the dots. That's what we're doing here. Or maybe I'm showing my age here. I used to have those books. Alright, so, Connor, where should one of my dots be and what kind of a dot should it be? Open on -2. Nice job, buddy. Mackenzie, so Connor just did this one for me. Open at -2. What other number should I be putting a dot at and what kind of dot? Nice. Open circle at 4. Very good. We know it's an and, so what's going to happen, Nathan? What do I do? Just connect them, right? When it's an and, just connect the dots. That's all you're doing. When it's an and, just connect the dots. You have your 2 dots, just make sure you pay attention to the signs. Alright? Make sure you pay attention to what you have for signs so you know what kind of dot to put or what kind of circle to put.
Yeah.
Alright? And the stuff we do this week, guys, we're not going to get in that in depth with this. When it's an and, connect the dots. Alright? If there's no word written, there's no and or an or, what kind of a problem is it? If the word and or is not written and there's two inequality signs, what kind of a problem is it? And, right? If there's no word written, you have to know that it's an and. Connect the dots. Now, for this problem, would -2 work as a solution? Would -2 work as a solution?
No.
No, how come?
Because circles are
It's not included, right? If it's filled in, it's included. It doesn't. So only numbers that work are -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Those would fit the criteria for that inequality. So remember, I want to say it one more time. If there's no word written, you have two signs, two inequality signs, and there's no word written, you have to know that it's an and. It's always an and, it's always going to connect the dots. Right? If it's an or, we're always going to write the word or. But for an and, we might give it to you set up like the way that one just did. Like here's an or right here. Alright? Take 2 minutes, write it. I don't care about graphing it, but I want you to write it on your sheet, on your guided notes, and try to at least solve the equations. I'll give you a hint. I'm going to circle the things that you want to get by themselves.
You're boring.
You smell good.
Alright, here we go.
Right, Noah?
This side. Mackenzie, on that left-hand side, what was the first thing you did?
I don't know, man.
Nice job. So you added 5 here. What else did you add 5? To -1. What did you get when you did that? -1 and +5? 4? Did you really get 4?
Just got to put it down.
Oh, you have to put it down. Okay, I get you. Alright, so we got a 4 here. Here's my sign. Here's my 2x. Ginny, now what?
I'm gonna subtract.
On this one.
We're gonna divide.
By what number? Divide by 2. Very good. Ginny, do I have to flip the sign?
No,
Why?
because there's no.
It's not negative, right? Remember, it's all about if this number is when this number is negative, the number you divide by, that's when you flip the sign. This is positive, I don't have to. 4 divided by 2?
Not 2.
2, nice job. I'm going to bring my or down, just so I have it. Noah, on the right-hand side, this one, what was the first thing you did?
Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, I'm correct about the problem.
Okay,
Okay, minus 8 from both sides.
nice job. So -8, you mean -8 from 29?
Yeah,
Okay, when you did that, what did you get?
21.
21? What'd you do with everything else?
Brought it down.
Just brought it down.
So we got 3x greater than.
Did you finish?
Yeah, I got that.
No, did you finish them?
Yeah, I did it right.
Okay, but you're not done yet, though.
Yeah, I know. Then you divide by 3.
Okay, divide by 3. I thought you stopped there the way you were talking, so you did awesome. And then you got x greater than 7.
Yeah.
Awesome. So x greater than 7. There you go. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Mr. Hager's gonna scroll down a little bit. He's gonna bring it up so people can see.
Wait, I did it.
There we go. All right. Gemini. This one. What do I do?
You put an open circle above 2.
Yeah. Open circle above 2.
And then there's 2.
Let's tell me which way my lines are going.
Oh, it's okay.
Left or right? Yeah, towards the windows. Yeah. Good. I don't care about. I want to put little arrows above because it's an or. I'm graphing everything. All right, Sydney. Absolutely. You're like a graph master.
Open circle of 7.
Yeah.
Your ass gonna go to the right.
Go to the right. Bam. That's it. But wait a minute. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I got no overlap.
It's connected.
Huh? I got no overlap here.
No.
Am I wrong?
No.
But I thought I needed overlap.
Because there's a
It's an or problem. I don't care. If it's or, graph everything. And graph the overlap. Perfect.
All right, so last one.
Will there ever be a problem that says or?
Okay, it says that
No. Or.
This isn't what
electrical devices operate best when they're between a certain temperature, right? A lot of times you see if it says like it's too hot, you're not supposed to run certain things, or if it's too cold, it doesn't run right. So it says for this particular phone, It works best is if the temperature is above freezing, above 32, but also we can't be above 105. Okay, we don't want to go too high.
Usually smartphones are above a certain heat.
Yep, we gotta go in the middle.
The smartphones say like will hold like
Yeah, if it gets too hot, it kind of freezes up, or too cold. Okay, so to write an inequality, what's the first thing you need to have?
Inequality sign.
You're gonna need inequality signs. What else? What are we gonna need besides the inequality signs? Numbers. You're gonna need the numbers. We're gonna need the word and. I agree.
Yeah.
What else?
X.
We're gonna need a variable. Okay, so Joe said x. So let's let x equal the smartphone temp. Okay? So x is the temperature of the smartphone.
XXX.
So let's start with the first part. We want the temperature what compared to 32?
Greater than above 30.
We want the temperature above 32.
So it needs to be a greater sign.
Greater than?
Well,
Can it equal?
yes.
Yeah, it says between, so we'll assume it could equal. And now what word?
Can't just assume that.
And
This is an and. Okay, not only do we want the temperature above 32,
And then hold on. X.
X is equal.
No, less than 105.
less than or equal to
105.
105.
You were wrong. You said less than.
Now, is that the only way to write the answer?
No.
That's a conjunction, so what can we do with the word and?
And
put
junction.
an X in the middle.
We can put the x in the middle.
Make it an X junction.
What else? Put the x in the middle. Where do we put the smaller number?
On the left.
What about the bigger number?
On the right,
Okay.
In which way do my signs point?
to the right,
To the left.
To the left?
To the left and right.
They have to point the same way. Nope, they have to point the same way. Do we put the line under it? Or no lines under them?
no
Put
line.
the line under it because it has to stay.
So
It has to stay the same. They both have the line. Keep the line under it. So that means your temperature is above or equal to 32, but it's also less than or equal to 105.
Oh.
Okay? Either way.
Teamwork.
Man, this is awesome. What's your
That was fun. Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right. So any questions on that one? Okay, couple quick reminders. Okay, don't put your notes away yet. Okay, last academic week. That means grades close on Friday.
Yay!
Right? So last day of material tomorrow. Thursday, we're going to do a review. First half of class. Second half of class, we're going to start the test. Because on Friday, you're being dismissed at 1:20 for the prep rally.
Wait, how long is the pep rally for?
Is the cafeteria open?
I think the cafeteria will be open.
What's the pep rally? How long is it for?
It'll go right till the end of the day. Yep,
Seriously?
end of the day, yep.
Would you rather be in class or
Rather than sit Mr. Barrett's class.
Okay, and guys, one other thing, reference sheet.
Mr. Barrett, we don't do work.
Reference sheet tomorrow for homework, so what do you need to bring to class tomorrow?
Printed reference sheet.
reference?
To print it, you need your Chromebook. Yep.